we'll call the meeting to order at 5. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Mike Steinel,
Here.
Joe Zitzelberger,
Here.
Kristen Runge,
Here.
Chris Sellner,
Here.
Sue Springman,
Here.
Melissa Hunt, here, Brian Wallace.
Here.
Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Do we have any changes or additions to the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes of February 9th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is public comment. Do we have anybody who would like to make a public comment? We do have 2 public hearings scheduled for later today. If you're planning on commenting on those issues, you can wait until public hearing. All right. Do we have anyone online who would like to make a comment during public comment? Going once, going twice. All right. We will move on from public comment. And our first item on the agenda then is to discuss and take action on a site plan application for the Public Works Facility Addition at 504 Moravian Valley Road. And this is for final action by Plan Commission. And Lauren, while you are firing up your computer, do you want us to ask Bill to?
I am almost there.
All right.
Just opening up Zoom now.
For those that are online, we're having some small tech issues with updating computers. But they are being worked out.
Have something you want to say.
It does. It doesn't happen when you're not meeting, only when you're meeting. It's the rule.
All right.
Yeah. To go to work. Yeah.
Sharing my. s-
I like the seasonal ringtone. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Getting feedback. Not me.
Computer.
Is that you?
No, your computer.
Mine's muted. Okay, got it. Sorry about that. All right, technology is fun. Okay, so this is a site plan application for 504 Moravian. 504 Moravian Valley Road, which is the Public Works facility. This is a 14,700 square foot addition. This is to accommodate additional public works vehicles and parking, and also do a remodel of the existing building. So here is the overall site plan for the project. So the building to kind of the north of the site is the existing building, and then the addition is this kind of area to the south. As you can see, it's adding quite a few additional parking bays for vehicles. Additionally, there's office space here towards the front of the building that's going to be remodeled for needs of the staff. As part of the site plan review process, we do look at landscaping. The current site plan does meet the landscaping point requirements. Most of that landscaping, it's pretty limited site, but they did add trees at the front of the site here, which allowed them to hit the number of points needed. And then one thing I wanted to just point out, they are meeting pretty much all of the village requirements that we would look at for site plan review. The one item that I noted in my report is the photometric plan. There are some higher numbers on the northern side of the site. They had actually added in the most recent edition a shield on the southern lights. You can see a 6-inch shield to block view. And so my recommendation was to add those shields to the northern lights as well to get those numbers down. Our lighting lighting ordinances require 0.4 foot candle or less at the boundary or at the property line. So I think the shielding would help with that. And then here are some renderings of the facility addition. They're using materials that match the existing, so which looks nice. So all the planning comments that you might have seen in Tim's report, those have been resolved. And so my only remaining comment is potentially adding shielding to those northern facade lights. Other than that, staff recommend approval.
All right, thank you. And Bill, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Just here for quick.
All right, great. So do we have any questions? We'll open it up for the floor, and if you've got one, just feel free to unmute.
I'm curious about the southwest corner. It looks like it's probably pretty tight through there. How much space is there, and is there going to be any concern with plow trucks or anything else being able to get through that?
Talking right, like at this corner here.
There's just the minimum amount of space there to get a plow truck through. The majority of the plow trucks are coming on the north side, swing around the back and enter the rear side of the new addition. All the plow trucks are gonna be stored in that new interior parking area. It's one way in and one way out right there. So the plow trucks, unless they're plowing the parking lot, will be going through that interior space, then out on the south side.
Is there, would it be feasible?
Like.
Oh, yeah, mine's on. Would it be feasible to kind of cut that corner at 45 degrees or something to make that space a little bit wider for vehicles?
We can get a plow truck through there, so
Okay,
we'd prefer to have the interior space to store stuff as well.
okay.
So if we cut that 45, we're gonna lose a place where we can store stuff, equipment inside. And we want to maximize that interior space, because we're really tight on interior space in our existing building. And we want to make sure we have enough space in there for all our vehicles, any equipment, any trailers, everything that we can get inside and store it inside.
Is there plans at all to put maybe some bollards or whatever? I'm concerned with the vehicle hitting that corner of the building.
Yeah, we would make sure to put some safety barrier in there as well. I mean, like Aaron is saying, we're trying to maximize as much of that area as we can. I mean, we're gonna have racking along the outer walls, you know, and that's a nice corner there to have some racking for storing stuff.
Yeah, it's
Obviously, this is it. I mean, this is the lot ain't gonna take any more than what we got.
yeah, it's good. I just you know, I don't want to see us having to fix that corner of the building over and over. So as long as
Understood.
you got safety stuff and everything in place,
Sure.
that's good.
All right, other questions? Melissa, did you have one? No? Brian?
Just to play off that, you got deliveries and stuff in the back that are gonna,
Yeah, we'll have salt delivery that'll go back to the salt shed in the back corner, but that would come in off the north,
sure, and then probably exit on the south.
south, same side.
And does it make any sense to be one way then for that? Don't you see traffic flows there?
The general traffic flow will be one way.
Yeah,
We made sure we had two-way access though, in case we end up with a gate issue. Then we can make sure we can get out on both ends. So if a gate can't open, we can go out the north side or go out the south side.
any objections to the shielding of the lights on the north side?
No.
Thank you.
All right, Chris, did you have anything?
Did anything get cut from what you guys wanted in here?
No, I mean, we're limited on what we could do in the space, so we've maximized that if we had a bigger space, we'd obviously want more. I mean, one of the things we're doing is in that, I'll call it the northwest corner there, is we're creating a fleet maintenance department there. And that's where all village equipment will be repaired. There's gonna be, I believe, 3 bays there, for him to, or Kurt, basically to work on all village equipment and police and fire and EMS stuff. So we've laid that out in there, and like I say, there's not much out of the room we can go anywhere.
So if you had more space, what would you have put in here?
Ooh, I don't know. Guys?
I mean, we probably would have maximized even greater the mechanic space. Right now, there's 2 lifts, 1 pull-through space, and then a larger space for the larger vehicle. It's gonna fit every piece of equipment that we have, but we'd probably like to have a little bit more room in there. We probably would have put a bigger mower shop in there that we can actually work on mowers. We're gonna have to bring it probably into the mechanic shop to work on it. We'll probably use that as storage space. We probably would have put more interior parking spots for future plow trucks, front end loaders, etc. We do have enough space. We have 2 or 3 additional extra spaces in there for future needs. But we're pretty much going to be in probably 10, 12 years, bursting at the seams again on this space. We're hoping that this will last 15 years, and then at that time, hopefully you can acquire another parcel somewhere in the village in the future, in a probably an area that's currently not in the village for a larger site, but that'll be 15 to 20 years away.
Thanks, Aaron. You just answered my last question. Perfect.
All right. Sue? No, Mike?
Good.
All right. Seeing no other questions, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the site plan as exhibited. Sure, I can make that adjustment to include the shading of the lights on the north side.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next up, public hearing, discuss and take action on conditional use permit for alcohol sales and conditional use permit for outdoor eating and drinking for the tasting room at 114 East Main Street. And this is for final action by the Plan Commission. So Lauren, to you for presentation and then to public hearing.
All right. So this is for a new business in Wanakee called The Tasting Room at 114 East Main Street. This is the downtown Village Crossing building. I have kind of a screenshot of the Google Maps of the space that they're hoping to occupy here, and then also highlighted where in the building it's located. So the Tasting Room is a full service bar and retail sale of cigars and pipe tobacco. Kind of a unique use. This on-site smoking is permitted due to a state law exemption. I believe this has come to the Plan Commission several years ago where this was discussed. We've had Attorney Kleinmeyer review kind of the legal memo on that, and kind of we concur that they are allowed to have this use in this space. I will note that this space will be equipped with kind of a commercial ventilation system that they've engineered specifically for cigar and pipe tobacco use at the facility. Additionally, no food will be sold on site. Customers can actually utilize neighboring restaurants to eat food at their bar and cigar facility. So for this conditional use permit, we actually need two separate CUPs. So the first one is for the sale of alcohol. Our zoning code requires for projects in the C1D, so commercial downtown district, if they're getting a liquor license of any sort, that they need a CUP. And then the second CUP is for outdoor eating and drinking, and that would include alcohol as well as smoking. That is another conditional use in our zoning code that they have to get. So these are two separate CUPs. I'm kind of lumping them together for discussion, but we will have two separate documents. So I'll start with kind of what I have drafted for the CUP, and then obviously the Plan Commission can discuss what additional conditions, or if you want to take any of these out, you're more than welcome to. But the draft CUP I have currently is that the applicant must obtain and maintain alcohol licenses. If there are noise complaints, the Plan Commission can review the conditional use. Capacity controls are established by Wanakee Fire Department and/or state statute. And if parking becomes an issue, Plan Commission can reevaluate the CUP. There's quite a bit of parking in the area. Obviously, the building itself has just that parking lot to the back, but there are additional public parking areas. Both St. John's their parking lot is available for public use, as well as the parking lot, the overflow library parking lot, as well as street parking as well. So we wanted to add that in case there are issues that pop up, that could be reevaluated. For the outdoor patio CUP, we have fencing for outdoor patio is required. That's pretty standard for all of our businesses downtown that have outdoor patios. Actually, I'll mention that all of these are standard. I basically took the CUPs that we've passed in the past to kind of model for this one so that we're consistent with all businesses. I think it's important if we're, telling one business one thing that they're kind of hearing the same type of requirements. So fencing is required, limit of outdoor service and amplified music. So Sunday through Thursday, they can operate until 9 PM and Friday and Saturday until 10 PM. If there are noise complaints, Plan Commission can review the conditional use. Fire pits must be approved by the Wanakee Fire Department. Capacity controls established by Wanakee Fire and or state statute. And again, if parking becomes an issue, Plan Commission can reevaluate. And then I did want to include just kind of a rendering of the outdoor patio space. You've probably seen it on the back of that building, but they are required to kind of define their outdoor premise as part of their liquor license process. And so just wanted to clarify what exactly we're talking about. So you can kind of, it's not super detailed, but basically, the building is to the plan north here. And then there's like a fenced-in area with about 7 tables for outdoor eating and drinking. So staff do recommend approving the 2 CUPs once Plan Commission is comfortable with the list of conditions for both of those. And I'll turn it back to you.
All right. Let's open the public hearing then at 5:51 PM. Do we have anybody in the room that would like to speak on this issue? I'm seeing no hands being raised. Do we have anybody online that would like to speak on this issue? Seeing no hands raised online, we will close the last call. Close the public hearing at 5:51 PM with no one stepping forward to speak on it. So with that, questions, plan commissioners. Melissa, did you have a question?
I just had one. Is this establishment moving from Monona? So I think it said in the notes, right? That's where their existing was, and that's why they can have the indoor smoking because it's a existing business expanding, or is it a new location?
So my understanding is the existing permit they have right now is different. I mean, it's separate from the one that's in Monona. So that is going to remain there, but this is coming from another location within the States.
Okay.
And my understanding, it's the same business that had approached the village back in, I think it was 2022, because initially they were going to, similar to Monona, they wanted to put the tasting room near the Buck and Honeys, and for whatever reason, that didn't proceed.
Okay.
And so now it's just a different location within the village.
Perfect. I just wanted to know if it was new to the area, so there'll be potentially another one in Monona and one here. That's the only question I had. Otherwise, everything else looked good to me.
All right, Brian?
How many CUPs related to this type of activity does the village currently have?
To the alcohol use or the outdoor
Or
patio?
patio?
I'm familiar with Lone Girl and Grace Coffee.
Buck and Honeys has one too, I think.
In red and white.
but-
Yeah, I think there's
okay.
probably about 5 or 6.
Okay.
And I agree with Lauren that essentially, as far as I'm aware, the conditions that are placed within the draft CUP for the outdoor dining here are consistent with all of the other ones. Especially from a noise standpoint, I think it's important.
Those hours ring a bell from the last ones we've been through. You had mentioned that this particular location was not going to have any food, right? But the CUP specifically says for food.
Yes, because they
Standard language that we've used, or?
kind of both. One, that is what the zoning code says, so I just copied exactly what that conditional use language is. But 2, people could purchase food from Lone Girl, for example, and bring it to the tasting room to eat. So technically, they would be dining. They wouldn't be serving food, but they would be eating at the.
Sure. So, and not that it really makes much of a difference, but if they were to add a kitchen space, don't know even if they can, but if they were, how does the fact that the CUP would already be in place saying that, do they have to come back or they don't even have to come back?
They would not have to come
Yeah.
back.
Okay.
Potentially, if they're adding a kitchen, and put in the potentially, would they have to come back though if they were adding a kitchen and making a modification?
There may be other approvals that
but
would
not
be
for the
required, like a
outdoor.
building permit standpoint, but not to get the CUP amended.
Right.
All right. Thank you.
Joe?
Couple of thoughts. Having lived in an apartment next to a smoker, and this is an old building, is there any concern with smoke going from this unit into adjacent units? And is there anything that we can do to help that?
I don't think so from the stand. The reason I say that is if they were not seeking to serve alcohol and if they didn't want to have the outdoor area, this would not be before you. Like, I think the issue that you're raising is more of an internal issue.
Okay.
And I think it probably goes beyond the scope of the conditional use permit because they would be able to operate in that building without CUP, without the plan commission action, but for the two things that they're seeking tonight.
Okay.
But that being said, my understanding is what they're proposing to do from an HVAC standpoint is similar to what they do in Monona. And I know that in Monona, I've never actually been to the tasting room, but I have been to the Buck and Honeys there. And there are not only other commercial tenants in that building, but I believe there are also residential tenants in that building. And as far as I'm aware, there have not been any issues, or we haven't been told of any issues.
Okay, that's good. So based on the outdoor space, and there's some residential that isn't right next to it, but within the vicinity. If those residents have a concern about smoke smell drifting over to them, is that out of our hands?
I think if you wanted to add that as a condition, you can. It's more going to be if we get to that point and somebody complains, is it truly an issue or is it just somebody who doesn't like smoking? And we'd have to cross that bridge when we come to it. But if you look at, I'm just trying to scroll down to the conditions. Essentially, if I hear what you're saying, Joe, like I'm on page 43 of the packet. And so this is the CUP that deals with the outdoor dining area. Right now, we have if parking becomes an issue, the Plan Commission has the right to reevaluate the conditional use permit. Theoretically, you could add a fifth condition that would says if the smoke emanating from the outdoor area becomes an issue for adjacent property owners, the Plan Commission has the right to evaluate the conditional use permit. I think you could add that. I want to make it clear to the public that that's not a guarantee, for example, that all of a sudden this is going to get shut down
No,
because
absolutely not.
a couple of people have a problem with it. I mean, it's more of a, if just the absolute volume, I think, because we obviously have people who smoke outside at the taverns now. And we can't prohibit that under state law. Here, I think the only basis, and I think you can do it, but the basis is the volume just going to be so much more significant than at other establishments.
Yeah, and that's really the thought that I have on it. Just, I want to make sure that we protect the people who are already living there. So, and then the last thing that I had, let me go back to the map here. I don't recall what it was, lost the thought, but
We can come back to you.
yep.
Chris?
Yeah, so my questions are similar to Joe's, just in the fact that it's normal for it to be next to a restaurant, but we're talking it's next to a gym where people are working out, and Madison Meta Spa, which is right next to it. So there's the users next to it. I assume that's probably the landlord's issue though, not necessarily ours.
The interior, those are other businesses within that building.
Correct.
Yeah. Again, I do believe that that's more of a landlord tenant issue from, again, getting back to the point of if they were not seeking these CUPs, the only thing that they would need from the village is a cigarette/tobacco license. And I know that's a little weird because they cannot smoke cigarettes here. But, and I don't think that we would have a basis to deny it at the board level because of the potential impact on the other tenants. I think that that's more of those tenants need to go to the landlord and say, hey, what are you doing here? You by accepting the rent from this business, you are negatively impacting our business.
Sure. I was not saying I was opposed to it for that reason.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just was looking at it from who's really responsible.
Yep.
Not us, I'm assuming it's gonna be that landlord.
And I agree with you. Yep.
That's all good. That's it.
All right, Sue?
Nothing other than I agree, the landlord is someone who leases a lot of space and has to deal with tenant complaints. I hope the landlord has thought it through and make sure that it's built inside properly because
Yeah.
he'll be hearing about it otherwise. So they're smart. They should know that.
Mike?
My line of questions were the same as Joe and the rest of the crew here. I do wonder, have there been any complaints we're aware of related to noise for Lone Girl or the other ones that already have outdoor? Or, because it's just going to be another space outdoor where there's going to be more people that if there's already somewhat of an issue, is it gonna make it bigger? That you guys are aware of?
Not that I'm aware of. We did have a meeting with Chief Kreitzman about this just to talk through the conditions, and we were talking about Lone Girl and some of the other, and I don't think he mentioned history of many complaints.
There have been some, I wouldn't say many. I know that the magic to addressing those complaints, when we do get them, rests with the business being responsive to the complaint after it's issued. At least in the case of the Lone Girl, we've had good actions that have occurred as a result of the feedback to the business. That would be the expectation here too. But there have been, I don't know, since the Lone Girl has opened, a handful.
Okay, nothing
Ish.
significant though.
It's certainly not in the realm of recurring to the point where we had to get more active or proactive to address it with the business or the community. It's been resolved when we've had the issues.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else?
Got
Got it?
got the piece. Yeah, if something has to actually come back to the plan commission, how does that process work? Who can trigger it, I guess?
You mean one of the items, like if there's a noise complaint or something like that? Good question. I think, likely the complaint would come to me. I would evaluate it. For a noise complaint, for example, likely PD would be involved, and because they have their noise kind of measurement. But I think in evaluating the complaint, we could bring this back to the plan commission, share the information that we collected on the complaint, and have the plan commission make a decision one way or the other on how they want to address it.
And I would hope that we wouldn't get to that and that the business would address things.
Yep, yeah,
long before
exactly.
we got to that sort of a state. So, okay, that's fine.
Brian, did you have another one?
I do, yeah. To Chris's point about the businesses, I guess the way I looked at it is I've been by there at 6 a.m. when the business is going on, and I would assume their hours are not gonna line up. So hopefully that won't be as much of an issue. I do have a question, not necessarily related to this particular CUP, but I think you had made a comment, Lauren, about parking at St. John's. Do we have some sort of agreement there, or is it just overflow that since they're not in church, people feel they can park there? Or how does that look?
Todd, do you have history on that?
Brian, do you have this? Well,
I don't recall an agreement off the top of my head, but that doesn't mean one does not exist. I mean, it might have been just a number.
And the reason I bring it up, and that's fine, is might be worthwhile doing a little legwork there at some point because, Lone Girl can fill that parking lot. And if we have another business that's going to, make sure that people can get there and stuff, that may become more of an issue. So there's that component of it. The other thing is access from that location, whether it's some sort of sidewalk or walking path, adjacent to the entrance to the mill. I can't really envision where that might be, but some sort of safe lit access might be worth pursuing if that is something there for the village, but I just throw it out there as a comment.
Some wayfinding signs, maybe? Yeah. Yeah, Chris?
Last was just the fire pits that we're looking at. Do we oversee that, or does the landlord oversee that in allowing it?
Well, the language that's in the CUP, fire pits must be approved by Waunakee Fire Department. That's the standard language that we've had. I don't know to what extent we've had any issues, so I don't know if the fire department's ever been contacted with any complaints. But I would say this, we absolutely have the ability to get involved if we need to. But I think the hope would be that if there are issues initially, it would be addressed at a staff and business level versus having to deal with the fire department and the plan commission.
I just assume because you have multiple tenants and you're putting a fire pit with one, how that impacts an insurance situation by having that there. Yeah, that's why I was wondering if it was really us or if it was the landlord that did it, but okay.
Well, they would definitely have to get approval from their landlord to have a fire pit. In other words, the fact that we're saying that they can have it if it's approved by the fire department would not trump the landlord saying, no, they can't have it.
All right. All right, Joe, did you want to add a condition?
I do. Shall I make the motion?
You shall.
Well, there's two of them here. So first one would be just motion to approve the conditional use permit allowing alcohol sales at 114 East Main Street, Suite 109.
Second.
All right, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and the second one is move to approve the conditional use permit allowing outdoor eating and drinking at looks like that's actually wrong in here, 114 East Main Street, Suite 109, with the addition of a fifth point on the conditional use permit under section, looks like 2B. The fifth one would read, if smoke volume becomes an issue, the plan commission has the right to reevaluate the conditional use permit.
We have a second?
I'll second that.
All right.
I
Any
have a
dis-
question on that
Yeah.
one though, just on the fifth point. Do we create any precedents? And I realize that could someone come back in and say, well, now at the bar, people are smoking more and we want to start talking about that? Or I just want to maybe have you weigh in on it.
Yeah, I don't think that you are, because I think the unique nature of this being a tobacco bar where they can only smoke pipes and cigars. I don't think it's going to negatively impact any of the other businesses. And I also note that I agree with Joe in the way that he phrased his motion. He did focus on the volume, because I think, to me, that's what actually allows you to have this condition, if you want it, is the potential volume of smoke that would be generated from this establishment, as opposed to just people who are going to taverns and stepping outside and having a cigarette.
And then I guess clarity on, is it just the volume outside or inside? Because argument could be made, their volume's going to be higher because you're not allowed to smoke inside anywhere else. So
I would
it is
say-
going to be higher than any volume.
It's only on, from my standpoint, it's only on the outside, because that's what the CUP is for the outdoor dining and drinking.
Is that how you worded it?
That was the.
Okay, I wanted to just clarify.
I do
Thank you.
see that representative from Tasting Room has their hand raised. Adam? I think.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, yes, I'm the general manager at the Tasting Room in Monona right now. Just wanted to, on the volume thing, which I totally agree with and think that's a great additional condition to put in there, but would there be like a measurement of like volume? Like what would be the parameter essentially for what's a level of volume that would be too much?
I don't think that we can really, I think it's difficult to place an objective standard on it right now, which, to be quite blunt, direct also is going to be one of the reasons why I think it would be very difficult to essentially remove it. Under state statutes, when we put a condition on a conditional use permit, as noted by Mr. Brunner, we want to be as objective as possible here, because I think we just don't have a flavor for exactly how much volume is going to be generated. I don't think that prohibits us from placing that as a condition, but it's definitely going to pay an impact to the extent we seek to enforce it. And, I think it's one of those things we're going to have to wait to see if we do get complaints. And if we do, it's going to be, if it's just because there's a lot of people out there smoking, that's probably not going to be a basis to remove anything. And again, if anything gets removed, it's simply just going to be, you can't smoke outside, but it's not like the entire CUP would have to be pulled. But again, the issue that's being raised regarding volume, I think, is both good in that it helps us put the condition in there, but also, just so the planning commission's aware, we're going to have some pretty objective criteria if we want to pull it.
Got it.
Did you have a comment,
Thank
Melissa?
you.
Yeah, I guess with that, I'd prefer to remove that. I really struggle with us putting things on that's hard for staff to manage. And I'll just use a quick example. I was getting my hair cut at Echo and someone was smoking outside and it stunk inside for 10 minutes. Echo is not a place you're allowed to smoke inside or outside, and it smelled. So I think we create all of a sudden new situations that put staff in a position could, in my opinion, almost waste their time if we can't define what volume is. So with my 2 cents would be, I'd prefer to not have that condition in there. I don't know if anyone else has that.
Well, from a procedural standpoint, someone, if you want to, you can make a motion to have the condition removed. And if there's a second, then you would have a vote on that amendment before you would go to the primary motion. So I just want, from a procedural standpoint, there is the way to do.
Motion currently is seconded, right?
Well, so first of all, my understanding is Joe's motion already was seconded, right?
Yep.
So now, in other words, if somebody could theoretically make a motion that says, motion to remove the proposed fifth condition from the CUP. Yes, before you could act on that, it would have to be seconded.
Yeah.
All right. Comments, questions? Anyone making a motion?
Well, maybe where I was going with that is if all of you, I can just vote no and all of you can vote yes. Or I can make that motion. So if anyone, I don't need to waste our time.
Any thoughts? Anyone?
I'm fine with the motion though as is because I believe it's gonna be complaint driven anyways, and then we'll have to assess, so.
Other thoughts? No? Sue?
I think it's gonna be a big landlord issue if this happens. And I think it's gonna be really difficult for us to get involved in it, although the way it's worded and the way Brian explained it, I think we're okay on it, the way that you added it.
I think it gives us the
Doesn't
option,
happen.
Okay.
the option should things escalate to that point. But I would hope it never makes it that far.
Because your other tenants, you're gonna be concerned.
Right. So with that, ever going as is?
I can make I guess I don't care. I'd argue on the flip side, by having the volume in there, now the landlord could call us and we get stuck in the middle. And that seems like a waste of our time and effort. We have a lot of, my opinion. So if you want, I can make the motion to approve removing number 5. Everything else I'm fine with. If anyone wants to second that.
Do we have a second? I think we failed. Yeah, yeah. All right, so then to the main motion, do we have any other discussion on the main motion? Seeing none? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion carries. Thank you for the good discussion, everyone. All right, item number 3, discuss and take action in public hearing on conditional use permit for single family or 2-family home at 312 East Main Street, and this is for final action by the Plan Commission.
All right. So this is currently a duplex in the C1D zoning district. The permitted uses in C1D allow for residential on the second floor and commercial on the first floor. Single family and duplexes are a conditional use in this district. However, it's operated as a duplex at least since 2002, according to our assessor. So currently, this house is being purchased by a couple who would like to convert it to a single family home. Staff have no issue with that. As I've said, it's operated as residential already. So this COP would conditionally approve 1 family, and then we also included 2 family because it was a duplex at one time. It would allow the family to convert it back to a duplex and not have to go through the CUP process again. So the CUP would allow for 1 family or 2 family.
All right. Any questions or comments on this one? No? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Isn't it?
Oh, go
Public
ahead.
hearing.
Oh, sorry, public hearing. My bad. Let's open the public hearing at 6:12. Do we have anyone who would like to speak on this? Anyone online who would like to speak on this issue? Right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 6:13. And now, thank
I'll
you
make
guys.
the motion to approve as presented.
All right. Do we have a second? Any discussion on the motion?
Yes,
Yes, go ahead.
just to make sure, because some of the units along that corridor are used for business purposes.
Yep.
This conditional use permit is specific for single or 2-family
Residential.
residential. Yes,
Yep.
that's the word.
Yeah, and it's just this parcel.
So if there was to, at some point in the future, want to go to a business application, they would have to come back.
Nope, that's permitted. So they
Always
could just
permitted
do
already.
that. This is just allowing a conditional use of residential. So that house, 20 years from now could go back to commercial
Yeah.
and they wouldn't need to go get a CUP.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion or comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, discuss and take action on conditional use permit for ground-mounted solar panels at Crossroads United Methodist Church at 5901. I did skip over St. John's. Yeah, I crossed it off. Discuss and take action. It's the weather, you guys. Discuss and take action on the site plan application for St. John's Church Entry Edition at 209 South Street. And this is for final action by the Plan Commission.
All right. So this is a site plan application for an entry addition to the school portion of St. John's campus. It's a 40 by 17 building addition. They're also doing internal renovation of office spaces and bathrooms. All of the engineering and planning comments have been addressed as we've gone through 2 kind of rounds of tech staff. The site plan is pretty simple. So you can see the yellowish area is the addition. And then they also included some landscaping as part of this project. I apologize. When I uploaded the agenda packet, I included their updated plans, but it didn't include all of the submissions. So here are a couple slides including things that were not in your agenda packet, and I apologize about that. So this is kind of a floor plan of the internal area, just so you can see what the addition is bringing. So you can see like the vestibule and then a waiting area here. So that will be part of the addition to the building, as well as some of the office space that they're renovating. And then I also have renderings of the entrance. So a nice addition to the building. And will be well landscaped as well. So staff recommend approval of the site plan.
All right, any questions or comments on this item? And feel free to open your mic and
I think it looks great. It's a improvement to the
Yeah.
entrance.
absolutely.
I had actually reached out to Lauren because I had not seen what the internal was. And after seeing that, I think it improves security and a whole pile of other things. So yeah, this is wonderful.
All right. Any other comments, compliments?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we'll go to 5, discuss and take action on conditional use permit for ground-mounted solar panels at Crossroads United Methodist at 5901 Hogan Road. And this is for final action by the village board.
All right. So this is also a conditional use permit, but our village code actually requires specifically any solar projects, even as small as this one, to go to the village board for a conditional use permit. So that's, you're recommending to the village board on this one. So this is a small ground-mounted solar project at Crossroads. It's 2 panels, a total 455 square feet with a maximum height of 10.5 feet. As I mentioned, village ordinance requires us to go to village board. So here's the site plan. You can see this 2 small solar panels there on the kind of northwest side of the site. The one item that staff noted is that this is semi near a wetland. It's actually about 120, give or take, feet away from a delineated wetland. And so that was the one condition that we kind of recommended, or Tim in his memo recommended, is that we make sure that it's installed 75 feet from delineated wetland. I will note that this has not been updated. The wetland hasn't been delineated in 5 years, which is usually when they expire. So the current draft of the CUP says we need an updated delineated wetland to make sure it's at least 75 feet from that wetland. That's up to the village board if you want that language. Obviously, getting a whole new delineated wetland is expensive, and this is a pretty small project. And it is pretty far. It's not, close by any means, 120 feet from the wetland. So I'll leave it up to the board if you want to require a delineated wetland, or if you're comfortable with the current one. This DNR, this map comes from the DNR, and we're using that to kind of determine if it's outside of that area. But with that, we do recommend approval of the CUP, and the next step would be going to a public hearing at village board on April 6th.
All right, what questions or comments do we have on this one? Melissa, did you have any?
Yeah, on the delineated wetland, the wetlands are not even on, is that a neighboring property, or is that their, maybe I was confused, but I thought the wetlands were actually on the other property line. Am I wrong?
Good point. I'm forgetting exactly where their property, well, I think it is this teal area. So, and the line kind of, it's pretty dull, but it basically goes right here. So it is partially on their property.
It is.
Yep.
Okay. I guess my 2 cents there is, while I like it and appreciate it, I wasn't sure if it was on their property or not. I do think it's a big expense to take on. I also know that my guess would be, from what I know in the market right now, you're on a minimal 8-week wait. So you're pushing their project back at least 2 months minimum, if not 4, just to get that done and to have to triple check that. So while I appreciate it and respect it, I'd maybe feel at 125 feet, 50 feet, those don't change that often. I'd be pretty amazed if it changed. And if it did, it was because we weren't doing a good job of monitoring the property owner for maintaining the property and letting it expand. So then I guess I would say I'm not a big fan, in summary, of the wetland piece, just because I think it's maybe above and beyond and creates more for the property owner. They should be managing their property from that extent.
Thank you, Melissa. Other questions or comments? None? Brian? Joe? Chris? No? All right. And Mike, you're abstaining from this one? All right, with that, do we have a motion? And I agree with you about not requiring a delineation. That's a lot of time and money right now. Yeah.
I'll move to recommend the CUP for the ground mounted solar panels at Crossroads United Methodist Church to the village board.
Second.
All right, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, abstentions?
I was gonna say nay.
Dane,
You said no?
It's a no. Yes, nay,
Okay.
I should say nay.
Okay, so 2 noes, 4 yeas, 1 abstention.
Who are the no's?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right. So motion passes. All right, next up then is discuss and take action on ordinance amending section 133, 1135 fences and hedges in chapter 133 zoning for final action by the village board.
All right. So this is a request from Wanakee Utilities. They have a substation in Centennial Park, and they would like to put barbed wire on the top of the fence for safety. Obviously, that is a very unsafe place for any kid who kicked a ball over the fence to climb into, and they really want to make sure that that does not happen. Unfortunately, currently, our zoning code would not allow that because it's near a residential neighborhood. It's in a park. And so in discussing with Tim Semin, our planner, and with Wanakee Utilities, we thought it made sense to make a carve out in our zoning code for them, just given the nature of their facilities. So the current language here basically just amends the areas that talk about barbed wire in our fencing ordinance to state industrial zoned areas, which is still or is what is current, and then also allow it to enclose or delineate a public utility facility regardless of zoning designation. Joe had reached out regarding the second portion, which is the prohibited fences section, and states that they need to be at least 6 feet 4 inches above the ground, whereas that actually contradicts what's stated in section F. So in addition to this language, I would actually recommend just taking out the sentence or the portion of the sentence after the comma here and take out provided that the barbed wire and its support are at least 6 feet 4 inches above the ground. I would take that out and use the height requirements that are in the security fences section. So that's just one other change I would recommend to the board.
All right. Questions? What questions do we have, Joe?
Nothing, she covered it.
All right, Brian.
I would think that if we were going to allow a barbed wire, that the fence should have a minimum height of at least 8 feet. That's an arbitrary number on my part, but 6.5 or 6'4" even. I know you said you maybe would remove that. That seems like several people could just reach that. I think it needs to be higher, that people just can't reach up and grab it. So,
Yep.
I don't know
Yeah.
what that distance is, 8, 9, you know.
So the end of the first sentence the F section is what we would reference. So it states such fences may be as much as 11 feet in total height, including support devices for securing barbed wire. The barbed wire portion of the fence may not be more than 3 feet in height, and the barbed wire shall not be less than 8 feet from the finished grade. So that's what we would reference, and I would take out the 6 feet 4 in the second section.
And that's not contradicted by, but shall not exceed 8 feet in height? Because that seems like it could be less than 8 feet, but you're saying it could be one or the other then. So a chain link fence or whatever, it could be less than 8 feet, but if it's gonna have barbed wire, it's gotta be 8 feet.
The section that's not barbed wire has to be at least 8 feet, is how I understand it. Because it's saying barbed wire shall not be less than 8 feet from finished grade.
He's referring to the second sentence, right? That, but shall not be 8 feet in height.
Oh, gotcha.
So he's referring up saying, so we're allowed to have, it contradicts itself in that paragraph.
I see. Okay. Yeah, we can take a look at that and make sure they're all congruent together.
As long as it meets that, I'm good.
I was confused and I was gonna ask that same question. I was like, the 8 feet, but it would make sense if the fence is 8 feet and the barbed wire could go up to 11. So I think the intent, if I was interpreting it, the security fences with additional barbed wire can go up to 11 feet. So you can have up to 3 feet more between 8 and 11. Anything after 8 has to be barbed wire. That's
Right.
how I interpret it, but I wanted clarity too.
Yeah.
All right. That's reasonable. Chris,
No questions.
Sue, Mike?
No questions.
All right. Do we need to edit that now to make the motion or?
I don't think so. This will go to village board, so
Okay.
I will
Great.
make
Do
those
we have a motion?
amendments.
So moved. Approve as presented.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, discuss Wanakee 2040 Comprehensive Plan Draft Goals and Strategies. Go to group.
Yes, that's us. So,
Can I apologize in advance? I do have to sneak out in 15 minutes. I'm very sorry. I know. You should have told me you're coming. We could have had dinner. Now I have kid pickup and another meeting.
the hands we did that set up, Lauren's gonna add us to the Zoom so we can share the screen. So I'm going to pass this out. Don't worry, don't panic. You have a long time to read through it. But a big goal of my meeting tonight is to introduce this, and put this in context for you. I'll be real clear on next steps and everything, so you know exactly what's coming up.
Thank you.
Oh, Sharon?
Yeah, I need to get it to full screen. And
It is an item.
Lauren, did you promote us so that we can share?
yeah, I got it.
Okay. There we go. And now. There it is. Just like it. All right. All right. Thanks, guys. I'm Andy Cross with the Lakota Group. It's awfully good to see you all again. It has been since last fall, I think we were out here. So it's good to see you all again. I'm here with my colleague, Hannah. And so we are here tonight first to update you, to say hi and update you on the comprehensive plan, answer any questions you may have. We knew it, it was a process that often stretches to 12, 14, 16 months, and even just, meeting scheduling and going to national night out and figuring that out can kind of just play with the timeline. So just know that we are hard at work, in constant touch with the crew here, in bi-weekly check-in meetings. So we're moving things along. So I'm here to update you on that, but also introduce you to some new information that is really the bones of the second phase of the project. So I put this slide in here as kind of a reminder to me to ask if, to remind myself and ask, make sure you guys are all familiar with what we're doing here, updating the comprehensive plan. The existing comp plan is a shared one with Westport. And so this is our first opportunity to do a new one just for the village. So it's awfully cool. So the project is in 3 phases. The first one was last summer and fall, and you'll remember the existing conditions report, that short, tiny, easy to read little document. But it was a very important document because it set us up for phase 2 is where we are now. And we've been working on this for a while, our whole team. And so we are here to talk about the goals and the strategies in phase 2. So how did we develop these? Well, this came from the existing conditions report. and all the engagement that we did, a lot of new surveys. And through that came these themes. And we reviewed these and analyzed these in the existing conditions report, and these informed our initial observations and recommendations in that existing conditions report. So you'll see these come out through how we are going to build the comprehensive plan. And we're going to do that through various planning themes. And these really reflect the values and what people see as the character of Waunakee. And, you know, you can have a chapter on housing, but doesn't really tell the story. There's so much more going on in how Waunakee residents view their neighborhoods. And vibrant local economy, that really reflects what people want to see in Waunakee, a lot more than a chapter on economic development. And so we kind of, and vibrant local economy touches on other things. You know, these aren't just little silos, chapters in a book, academic undertakings. It's much broader than that when you look at a community-wide level. So you'll see a community character and identity. And is that somewhere we could add sister cities? Oh yeah, absolutely. So I just thought of that tonight. So what we're going to do now is what I'm going to do is share briefly the goals and the strategies that we've come up with in each of these planning themes. And as we'll talk about later, you'll have solidly 2 weeks to read through this. All right. So we're not going to go through it word for word tonight. Absolutely not. There's a couple things I want to touch on with you. And if you see anything that catches your eye, yes, let's talk about it. But I mean, I have 35 slides to get through. We're not going to sit and just read these together. That'd be a terrible use of our time together. So, so really it's my intent to introduce you through this so that when you do sit down and read through your handout, you can come to it more knowledgeably. And then jumping right to the end, we are planning a community workshop to talk about these with everybody. And that's when you'll have a chance to really dig into them with your fellow residents, community members, and stakeholders. That's when you'll have a chance to really, we'll have a chance to deep dive into them. So thoughtful growth, what does that mean? It is part of land use. It's also infrastructure and utilities. And it's how development is regulated. So I'll talk about that. And then the opportunity sites are something that we're still working on, but I'm really excited to be able to introduce you to a little. And what these do is look at sites that you guys have driven past for years. And you sort of stop seeing what's possible, what can go there. And when we digested a lot of the input, what people want to see in Waunakee, what they see as their character, we translate that into the real world. What does that look like when you actually build something that is what people are talking about? So you'll see some opportunity sites we have. We're going to have a few more, and we'll have everything really spit polished at the community workshop. But I'm happy I can share some rough drafts with you here tonight. So this is what you see in front of you. Again, not my intent to read through these, but I really want you to be able to read them tonight, tomorrow, next week, in a way that resonates with you and not just what the heck did these consultants come up with. So we have land use goals. These are very broad and dealing with specific types of different land uses. And an important part of this is the future land use map. And you're familiar with that from the existing comprehensive plan. And the way we're working on it now is better, for lack of a better English word. It's better. I'm really excited about the future land use framework that we're putting together for Waunakee. And right now, Todd and Lauren and the team are looking at it on a more granular level because there's just some local knowledge that can inform it in a way that we can't from our professionals, a higher level, that's much more difficult for us to do. So that's going to be great. We are going to be talking about that at the community workshop in a couple of weeks, but we're also going to have some one-on-one discussions with some of the big property owners so that they don't come to this meeting and be like, what the hell you think? You know, like we want to have some early buy-in. So we'll get onto that. So these are the land use goals. Housing here is very high level because we have a chapter and expertise, great expertise on this plan, working on some more specific housing strategies. Infrastructure and utilities, again, very much part of thriving growth. You can't develop somewhere that doesn't have, public services, and who pays for that and what do you need? So there's a lot of strategies in the comprehensive plan to tackle that within this theme. The regulatory goals. There is a long-term vision here to update the zoning code and update the regulatory framework. And so how we're viewing the comprehensive plan is as a tool to provide a real springboard for that. So I've gone through it. So much of my career, the zoning code was my daily Bible. And so I feel like having worked now in other communities, I have some ideas that work and things that can, that are improvements. And for one, let me just, let's talk about this one a little. The very last bullet point. Planned unit developments are a hugely important planning tool. They've been around since the 50s. They serve a really valuable purpose. And they create a higher level of development and then also have a benefit for the community. So PUDs are great. Right now, the Village of Waunakee has them as a zoning district on the map. So if John Q. Public rolls out the village's zoning map, there's swaths of an area that are zoned PUD. It doesn't tell you anything about what's allowed there, what can go there. Is it commercial? Is it residential? Don't know. So PUDs are very important, but they don't play they just don't contribute. They don't play an active role as a zoning district. If there is a need, if the village as an organization and as it feels compelled to have the zoning map show where PUDs are for whatever reason, and that's an important question to ask yourselves. Do we need to be telling people where PUDs are, or are these just a regulatory tool to facilitate development in the R6, in the C1? So if there is an interest in having the zoning map identify where PUDs are, then there are tools to do that. Illustrative tools, you can do an actual overlay, but there's, that doesn't play much of a role. So that's just something to think about. Do PUDs need to be shown on a zoning map? What are we communicating with them? Why do they need to be? And Waunakee is not alone in this. There are suburbs in the Chicago area. Fully a third of the communities are in a PUD. Like, guys, what are you doing? If put on your developer hats and you're looking for a place to put a cool 3-story mixed-use building, and you look at the village's zoning map as a first start, I don't know if I can go there. What's that? And so what that is, the first step is a phone call to Lauren. And then she has to do the research and get back. It's just, what are we achieving here? So that's one thing I just kind of wanted to share with you. A lot of the things are a bit more straightforward. The residential zoning districts, aren't there like 10 right now? It's just crazy how many residential zoning districts there are. So I think that and some are little used. So these are all things that we will play with as we move forward here and get public feedback on that. Okay, cool. I get to show you this fun stuff. So we have 4 opportunity sites in town. Let me back up. Okay, it's going to stay. The first one that we're looking, and we sat down with Todd, Lauren, and Austin a lot and talked through these. Where can we look? A lot of meetings in picking out where these sites are. This is, to help you get it quickly, is the Rex's Dinner restaurant site. What's it called? Rex's Innkeeper. That's it. And so a couple things. There's already multifamily residential just north of us. And if it's already there, that type of land use can stay. It's valuable. Let's not get rid of it. And so we have some residential here. And then a key theme as we start looking at a couple more about this site is utilizing the whole natural area up there. It's a perfect place for some residences in the back, and then some activity in other iterations that we'll share in a bit. I'll click here. Utilizing the Main Street and Century Avenue there. That's a key commercial corridor right there. So these are all ideas about how to leverage that in certain ways while also taking advantage of an opportunity to have more residential density in the commercial area and near downtown Waunakee. So this kind of then focuses in on another idea just at the top of the site. So we're going to play around with these more and then have some ideas to share. What it'll be important for you guys to help us communicate is this is not prescriptive. The village isn't going to buy this and develop it like this. So people need to know, because property owners haven't seen this. So we need to make it very clear that no, the village isn't doing this. This isn't what's happening. But it's so important to help people see their community through different eyes. Oh, that's possible. I saw that in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I loved it. Something like that. Just get people's brains firing and thinking like planners about ways their town, their village can develop in ways that you just hadn't thought about before. So that's why graphics like these are great. We're here right now. This is the very upper corner there is right next to the roundabout. So this is what we call the Village Green or Village Hall community gathering area. So it's ambitious. It just takes a look at how this giant site could be reused in the future. Nobody's going to tear down Ace Hardware. They're just building an addition. And so this isn't going to be an instant change. That being said, it's so helpful to be able to look at a site in Wanakee through a different lens. Hey, what's possible? And there's a concert performance venue down there, available year round. The whole idea, a lot of what we do at Lakota Group with the landscape and urban design is year-round use, not just there in the summer. How can we use it year-round? So, and again, a residential component, and then relocating a village hall so we can get even cooler chambers. So again, just ideas. So we'll keep moving here through the residential
Can
component.
I just ask a quick question on those? So those do cover, I guess I was trying to place myself back,
Oh,
but
I
that
could have stayed
is where Ace Hardware is now, and that's here, where we are now. Okay.
And there's what are those buildings back here? It's sort of light industrial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess my only property, are all those property owners, you know where I'm going with this, right? Going to be notified in advance that we scratched their buildings and did this, or we're just saying this is a great idea?
No, but not even a good idea or bad idea, an idea. And if people
If you come for my house, I'd be pissed, right? Like, just to be clear,
Right.
like I love my house. So I'm just wondering if we've thought that. I mean, I'm sure you have, but I want to be the one to bring it up because I love causing a little trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody's coming for anybody's properties. And we run into this in every community, nearly, when we present ideas like this.
I liken this to the Central Business District Task Force project that was undertaken 20-ish years ago. And there were bold thoughts in there that in some ways were unimaginable, but in other ways were, thoughtful. And one thing that stuck in that, for example, is what Coltis lumber is today, but certainly very different than what it was. But so this is that very early conceptual scratching that is going to involve and then engage and bring out very interesting and active dialogue with the community, which we hope to have happen.
Okay. My just thought was, is there any way, when I've done this in the past, you at least reach out and let them know we're drawing this and sharing it? And it's not that we want you to go away, and we appreciate and value you from a business retention expansion standpoint. Because if you showed my house, I'd think you want me to leave town. Coming down. If I'm using that as an example, that's how I would feel personally. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Sure. No, thank you. Thank you. So again, I'll kind of move through these. You'll have a chance to read through them and offer input later. But here we have a goal, and then a little description about why this is relevant, why this was included, what it's responding to, what we heard, and then strategies there, specific strategies to achieve the goal. And having this goal strategy, and then later on in phase 3, we'll develop specific action steps. That's how, one way it's so important to me to have a comprehensive plan be actionable. This isn't a collection of high-level policies that never really find their way. It's my intention to provide the village with a roadmap about how to achieve these things through goals, strategies, and then later specific actions. What have we done? What can we do? What isn't feasible? How can we swap this action out? Who's responsible for this action? So that's one thing that I'm committed to providing, is something that is actionable, implementable. Connectivity, again, think about the planning theme itself. This isn't a village that just needs a bunch of new streets right away. There's improvements and things like that. But transportation planning is more about building connections than it is developing new highways and new streets. That's not where the transportation planning is going to have the most impact over, especially with a state-owned, county-owned highways. Transportation planning over the next 10 to 15 years, the lifetime of this comp plan, will benefit the community more, focused on building connections throughout the community. So that's what you'll see. That's what you'll see reflected here in the goals and the strategies for that. It's about building connections, barrier reduction. Again, I'll keep moving. Regional partners, and we'll see more about that. Obviously, WSDOT, and there's a lot of conversation still to be had. And the comprehensive plan can make sure that, you know, that those remain top of mind as planning efforts move forward. So economic development, let's touch on this quickly. Again, goals, kind of some context about why the goal was considered, why it's in the plan, what we heard, what it's responding to, and then some specific strategies right now to do that. And I think the business park can be, you know, just such a, oh yeah, it's there. I think, you know, especially speaking with Todd, we agree that it's got potential, you know, ongoing tremendous potential to contribute to the local economy. Please.
This is an interesting topic here. You've got it in about 25. My bad, sorry. This is an interesting concept here, and you talk about 25% of the manufacturer sector representing, you know, basically our tax base. I'm assuming that's what you're getting to there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at some point we were 70-30 more so, but maybe it's gravitated a little bit. Will you, or will there be discussion on what a reasonable goal should be in this front?
Yeah, I think there certainly can be. Yeah, that's a perfect conversation to have at the when we do the workshop. Like, hey, how far can we reach? What's realistic?
And what do you see in your travels that other municipalities, maybe of comparable size, are currently at as far as a split between residential versus commercial / manufacturing as far as that split?
I just don't think I have the knowledge base to throw that out. You know,
That might be helpful to know in the future when we get into those conversations, like what are some of those, you know, what is a sustainable ratio?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And allow me to say that we're working with SB Friedman, who are some of the best in the Midwest at this, and they'll be at the workshop. And Fran will be able to wax on and on about, she'll have that knowledge base 100%. So here we go. Just a couple more of, retail districts. So just focusing on a different sector. And then a chapter that where I do have the knowledge base. You know, I'm a land use planner and you know, a placemaker, and so this is where we really had fun and have some really fun ideas. So do look through these. The gateway signs, nothing new. You know, I think it's been on the village's radar for some time, especially you know, when you think about priority levels. You can see I put high priority. High priority is from the south on Q, and then coming from the east on 19. I think those are the highest value places for new wayfinding signs. Now, a reasonable question is, hey, we've got these, you know, very classic only Wanakee in the world signs. You know, like they are iconic, but they're not at the borders. And so it's, you know, I think it's really worthwhile to explore having a definite, oh, I'm in Wanakee now. Otherwise, it ends up being Culver's. Oh, you know, when you're at Culver's, you're in Wanakee. Oh, okay. You know, so there's an area out by the roundabout coming in from the east. I think there's, you know, great opportunities there. And then development on Q, Highway Q coming in. I think it's just a great opportunity to be like, okay, now, especially with, the border situation with Westport evolving. I think that's a real opportunity. So can't wait for you to read about this. Hannah brainstormed a lot. Hannah and I brainstormed a lot about kind of a social infrastructure system. And it's about breaking down. We heard a lot throughout the process that it's a community of neighborhoods, of subdivisions. And it'd be nice it would benefit the community to have a broader sense of shared Wanakee. Now we're all in Wanakee. I'm not this, Wanakee. So it's, you know, some ideas to sort of build bridges towards that. So I look forward to your thoughts on that. More public gathering spaces. There's an incredible Parks and Open Space network, but there are different ways to have community spaces that aren't just the parks and the baseball fields and the trails. You know, there's different ways. And so some of those are reflected in the opportunity sites. So gathering places and activity hubs can take on a lot of different forms. Don't just think, right, oh, we have a ton of parks. Well, you do, but there's a broader vocabulary of what activity hubs are in a community. You know, like a cigar lounge. Cultural resource goals. You know, this not only resonated with us with Wanakee, it's also important within Wisconsin's smart growth planning framework to have some reference to this and have an acknowledgement of it. So we really wanted to include some actionable things here. Nature and recreation, again, there's already quite an awesome, a robust parks and open space network, but always room, great to have goals. Great to have goals about how to keep making them better and not just rest and say, no, we're good. Like always have goals to reach higher. And so these are just some ideas here to just keep things moving better. We'd love your ideas too. That's an important part of why I wanted to come here and speak to you guys tonight. You'll have ideas from your years in public service that may not have occurred to us. So really always looking for more ideas here. And this is intergovernmental cooperation, a must-have in every comprehensive plan. And so you're not going to see in here too much that super surprises you. There is an intergovernmental agreement with Westport that's evolving, but work having one with the guys next door in Springfield and Dane and Vienna, those engaging them to firm up an intergovernmental border agreement, I think is a great idea, just best practice. So I'm going to wrap this down. I've been talking a lot. So what's next? I kind of jumped to this in the beginning because I wanted to let you know right away that there will be a venue for you guys to have very active conversations, not only with me, but with our whole planning team about infrastructure. If you want to geek out on infrastructure, geek out on economic development sectors, please come. So this is on the 19th at the Village Center. I'm excited. I think when we were here in the summer, we were at the elementary school in the gym. So it's nice to see this other venue there in the park, lovely setting. So this is currently going out on the village socials and in other ways, but do mark it down. And I would love to have you guys there. And please help spread the word in every way that you can with your networks, professional, social, just to get people there. And it's going to be much more of a structured workshop. And I'm really excited about that. We're going to have kind of a station for each one of these planning themes with the expert there to answer questions and talk about, hey, here's why we did what we did. And then, get ideas and just have really meaningful conversations. So it's it's starting at 6. I'm going to have an introductory presentation so people know what a comp plan is and know where we're at in it and know how to make sense of these boards around there. So it's meant to be much more an active conversation, and then plenty of time for feedback, post-it notes, voting, a lot of cool ways. And that's where we'll have the future land use map up, and we'll have the opportunity sites up there looking better than they were, a little further along than they were here. So that's the plan, guys. Hannah, did I miss anything?
So literally everything I was like, say that you said.
right.
But yeah, any questions, just while we're here, like initial thought.
Can I have you go back to the opportunity sites?
Absolutely.
And the ACE one in particular, is somebody who's done my shared design charrettes.
Yeah.
Echo Melissa's concern about knowing what it's like to go into a community and you've got a very different vision. That's what's there. And also knowing that what you're presenting on that schematic that's Rex's, I think.
Yep.
So if we can go back to ACE, we'll start with ACE.
Yeah, yes,
Echo and
yeah,
Melissa.
sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
So, this is like a, 25, 30-year vision, right?
Certainly.
So I'm going to tell you something you guys already know, but I know there are people listening, right? One of the things that we often do is stage it, and like here in 10 years is what it would look like if you put in more landscaping in the front or had a row of buildings that developed. Maybe if we're presenting this next week, we've got kind of the stages so that they see this as the potential future, but closer in terms of what could we do for this space. And I hear you, Todd. Our vision document, if you look at that from Main Street, is, was at the time like a real eye popper for people because it was very different from what was there. And when you look at that document and you look at what we have now and you see this amazing growth that has happened downtown and how people come through the community now and see that downtown stretch that's been redeveloped as a real anchor and a real important part of our character. Like this, if 30 years, 25 years from now, we had this and ACE outgrows its current site and is in a new site, because continues to have this great growth and doesn't need that building anymore, then this becomes very realistic and it has that same sort of wow, look what they did. Look how they redeveloped. But those intermediate steps probably help us from getting community to be like, wait, what? Yeah. So yeah, Go ahead, Sue.
You would contact major property owners before you laid this out to the public, because if I'm Russ Enders, I'm having
Yeah.
a mini heart attack.
Yeah.
Major stroke.
Yep.
And
So,
I mean, do you?
No.
Yeah.
I think there might be some select people if you show something like this,
Mhm.
but I'm concerned about this one, and I'll just lay it out here because there's a lot of tax base and businesses that become green space. And I don't see its economic viability because the acquisition cost of his shopping center, he's filled it up. He's done a lot of work on it, is gonna be pretty high, and green space is gonna generate no revenue. And I don't know where that money is gonna come from. So, you know, I think this is a good area to increase tax base and increase retail because it works there, but that's just my personal opinion. But I do think Russ, I would not want to surprise Russ with this.
Yeah, it's how you present it, right? It's, look, this area can be identified as a future, as a opportunity. What does that look like? High in the sky, right? We don't know, but so how do you propose that without so much shock
Maybe
factor?
Another alternative too, which
Because you could say the same thing about Rex's on the other.
more tax space, commercial versus green space.
I
I'm
think
not
we've
against
got-
green space, but we have lots of green space.
I think we've got to have the vision.
Yeah.
And it's the not trying to give anyone too much reason to object to even having a vision now. So, but I've been in your shoes. I have been in your shoes in like many communities over the years where you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely, an opportunity right here. So,
It is.
You've laid this out, this whole
Yeah.
thing. I think it makes it easier for people to understand. I mean, it's kind of in more plain English than most comp plans, you see? So
Thank you.
I think,
Yeah.
you've made a
Thank
really
you. I
good
mean,
start.
Exactly what I was going for. Thank you.
Say for opportunity sites in particular for the public, like assembling this tonight, knowing like, okay, things that you guys have seen before, but for the public especially, it will be very clear, like, these are ideas. This is a vision. This is, like very much long-term, potentially past the lifetime of this plan. Like, just anything we can to really like bolster that. It's gonna look even more user-friendly than this.
okay.
So what if the property owner decided to redevelop that center, which I've always thought, why don't you do that? Because it's a prime redevelopment center.
Right.
Potential for much more density. And he or his daughter actually is running the company mostly today, came before us and wanted to do something different. We had this in our plan. Would that preclude it?
No.
Good.
No, I don't mean to speak for you, Todd and Lauren, but as a planner, I can say, no, absolutely not. This is just one idea. And the goal of the community workshop will be for people to tell us, we hate this. This isn't Wanakee. And I don't want them to hate it. I hope they don't. But to get other ideas and get people thinking, okay, you know what you don't want. And you hear people tell you that all the time. No, that sucks. I hate that. I hate that. Well, what do you want? And this is to get people noodling about, okay, you hate it. Cool. What's good to you? What's good? Because I'm going to guess you don't want, 6 more, Foot Lockers, Subways, TCBYs. Like, no, we're good there. Let's think about what is the next step to you? Is it just a mixed use building with a few stories of residential? Okay. But it's getting that vision about what you do want and getting those conversations going. And, there's not too many ways to do it. This is like the charrette idea. That's one way. This is another to get people talking about, okay, I know what you don't want. What do you want? And then we can revise these and update them and decide what, if at all. I mean, if this goes completely down in flames, let's just omit this site from the comp plan. If it just goes absolutely nowhere, okay, let's focus on, because there's another one where it is the triangle site, we kept calling it. Murphy's Mill site. We've got some great ideas for that.
Yeah.
That may or may not include the Quonset hut. I don't know. What do you guys think? So there are other sites too. So if this one completely just gets zero traction and is causing more tar and feathers and pitchforks than anybody needs, then we pull it. And that's,
Discussions with people, did anybody talk about increasing tax base to help property taxes? Because we hear about property taxes, and I just read in a recent newspaper article about the new high school potential referendum, and I think about those issues. And but did any of that come up? I just wondered.
In passing, but it was never so much you'd call it a theme.
Okay.
You know, people always, every conversation we have, somebody's going to complain about taxes. Every conversation.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, then I will conclude my comments. I hope this was helpful.
Thank you.
I hope you'll read through that and now know what that 10 pages of stuff is. And I really look forward to seeing you again in late March.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Okay, and help us get
Great.
the word out.
Great presentation. All right. With that, what time do we have? 7 o'clock. Okay, look at that. There's a clock right there. Time for one more update. Joint Plan Commission?
Canceled.
All
Got
right.
us?
To adjourn.
All right, we've got a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. That one always passes with flying
Can you
colors.
get a presentation on